Just trying to survive, and learn to love along the way, by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 82, Chapter 82, of Lawyers and Probing. Izuku's turn on the stand doesn't start well. His dad isn't there. His absence racks his nerves even more, so Izuku is a stuttering mess when he answers Suzuki-san's questions. This experience makes him relieved that he never had to testify for Inko's case. The thought of doing this for something so personal is nauseating. Izuku can't help his audible sigh of relief when his dad walks in. They haven't gotten very far yet, and he's sure that it was important, so Izuku does his very best to push past it. Instead, he focuses on his dad's reassuring presence, and that helps him get through the rest of Suzumi-san's questions. It doesn't exactly help him through the next part. It's mentioned in your official statement that you weren't aware of much at the start of the attack. Why is that? Izuku takes a deep breath before speaking. This is where it gets difficult. I had a headache. The look on the lawyer's face tells him he's not very convinced. Ah, yes, then you must have been dehydrated after the exam. Izuku nods. Where is he going with this? However, there is another option. Care to tell me what that is? Izuku can't think of anything. I don't know. There could be another traitor at your school, and he could be sitting right in front of me. There's an audible gasp in the room. Izuku meets his dad's eyes, and he looks about 2 seconds away from coming up there and giving the lawyer a piece of his mind. He doesn't have to, because he could see Suzumi-san rising. She looks livid. Are you out of your mind? This is going too far. Last I checked, this trial is about your client, not mine. The Hero Commission lawyer looks ready to retort. Suzumi-san turns to the judge next. I apologize for the interruption, Your Honor, but this is pure condulant and irrelevant to the case at hand. The judge nods at her before turning to the Hero Commission lawyer. Stay on task and don't bring up traitor accusations again. That case has already been dealt with. The lawyer looks properly chaste, but still manages to grin at Izuku. Bear with me here. I don't have too many more questions, considering you were mostly out of action. Sound good? Izuku nods at him, so he goes on. Can you explain how you got the gun away from your ex-classmate? My dad's been training me how to use his capture weapon, so I had it with me for the exam, and I used it there. What color is your capture weapon? Izuku is a bit taken aback by the question, but he answers it easily. Cream. How odd. In an interview with the traitor, she stated that she saw something black shoot from your hand to wrap around the gun. Then he turns to the jury. She was interviewed by Detective Sukelchi, who has a lie detector quirk. Oh God, Izuku hadn't accounted for her. He looks to his dad and finds a look of panic on his face, while their lawyer just looked irritated. So how about you try again? He gets stuck on that word, unable to say more. So without thinking, Izuku raises shaking hands to sign. I can't explain. It's not relevant to the case. The lawyer just looks at him blankly. I don't understand sign language. You need to speak up for me and everyone else here. He tries to sound apologetic, but it falls flat. The menacing look on his face doesn't help matters. Izuku takes a deep breath and tries again. I can't. He swallows thickly. I see. In your original statement to Detective Suzumi-san interrupts him mid-sentence. Objection! That statement was never submitted as evidence. The Hero Commission lawyer turns around with a gleeful smile on his face. Au contraire. I submitted it myself this morning. He watches as Suzumi-san goes through her papers and pales. She sits down without another word. As I was saying, your original statement mentions your quirk a few times. Izuku's eyes widen in realization. He looks to his dad, panicked. First, when you mention you can tell that there was going to be an attack, and second when you disarm the traitor. Except those are two different quirks, and your quirk is registered as strength enhancement. Care to explain? No. I... Izuku sucks in a breath. Or at least, tries to. This isn't supposed to be happening. He's not prepared for this, and he could tell that the lawyer isn't either. Izuku presses a hand to his chest, trying to will himself to breathe. Except, now he could feel his racing heartbeat, and his breathing continues to stutter. The Hero Commission is very interested in you and your quirk. Or should I say quirks? The lawyer had leaned in close, keeping that comment between the two of them. Izuku tries to back away from him, but ends up falling from his seat. A hand catches him at the last second, and Izuku tries to push it away until he realizes who it is. His dad is there, and Suzume stands right behind him, blocking everyone's view of his panic. Dad! Izuku is sobbing, which doesn't help his breathing at all. His dad just gathers him in his arms and carries him through a side door. Suzume-san shutting it behind them. His dad sits against the wall, Izuku still in his arms. It's okay, baby. Just take a deep breath for me. He picks up Izuku's hand and places it on his chest, demonstrating his much slower breathing. It takes a bit, but eventually Izuku can somewhat follow his lead. It's only then that he notices Suzume-san kneeling by their side, a worried expression on her face. When she notices him looking, she bows low. I am so sorry, Izuku-kun. I was not aware that they had that as evidence. But that is no excuse. I shouldn't have let that go on for so long. You may have my sincerest apologies. She raises from her bow, and Izuku nods at her, unable to speak. Suzume-san stands, and hurries back to the door, leaving Izuku alone with his dad. Alright, baby, I'll go get your dad, but then I have to get back in there for Todoroki. He can tell how reluctant his dad is. He waits a beat before continuing. Can you walk, or do you want me to carry you? Walk. As much as he would love a piggyback from his dad, he doesn't want anyone else to see that right now. His dad helps him stand, and keeps a supporting hand on his back, all the way to their new room. They don't bother to knock before stepping inside. The first person he sees is his dad. He's pacing the room, a worried look on his face. He turns to them when the door clicks shut, and immediately pulls Izuku in for a tight hug. He's sandwiched for a moment, as one dad speaks to the other. It's over quickly, and his dad leaves to go support Shouta for his turn on the stand. Izuku is exhausted, and really should sit down at this point. So he steps back from his dad, and takes a look at the rest of the room. Bright red draws his eyes to the floor beneath the window. Hawk sits on the floor, leaning up against the wall. He has his arms crossed, and wears an angry look on his face. It's intimidating, and Izuku knows he never wants to be on the hero's bad side. The effect is lessened by Kirishima slumped against his shoulder, fast asleep. Hawk's wing is wrapped around him, keeping his friend mostly hidden. How about we sit down, Izuku? He jerks his attention back to his dad, and nods. He's pulled closer to the pair, and they settle down on Kirishima's side, just a few feet away. Izuku meets Hawks' eye, and they hold questions, but the man doesn't ask any. He's pulled into his dad's side, and he relaxes there, ready for a nap himself. He doesn't ask Izuku anything, just hugs him and comforts him, when he breaks down into silent tears. The criminal justice people! This happens a lot, actually. People having panic attacks on the stand is something that I've, growing up, looking at courtrooms and stuff like that, it happens a lot. Or at least people bursting out crying, like not maybe like full panic attacks, but bursting out crying. The defense lawyer often, when talking to a witness or, a witness, right? They eat them up. They eat them up. They tear them apart and they tear apart their story. It is unfortunately their job. At one point I wanted it to be my job. Yeah, I know. Don't look at me like that. At one point I wanted to be a prosecutor. I wouldn't necessarily be in court cases like this. I would be probably going up against and talking like this to the person, that is supposedly, I say this, the perpetrator, the person who murdered, the person who did the crime, right? Basically. right? Instead of being a defense lawyer, because both of them are technically defense lawyers. Susumi-san and the Hero Commission's lawyer are both defense lawyers. This is a defense case, right? Yeah, sure, it's a criminal case, but it's also a defense case, right? So we have Susumi-san would be acting as the quote-unquote prosecutor, right? She would be the equivalent prosecutor, but she wouldn't necessarily be a prosecutor, considering that it's a complicated case, at least in my opinion. Again, my limited knowledge of court cases and stuff like that comes from true crime and then investigation shit that I did on my own back when I really, really wanted to be a lawyer back in middle school. So some of my thoughts and ideas on how the criminal justice system works might be outdated, or it might not be 100% accurate, so take that with a grain of salt. But I do know for a fact that a lot of times lawyers eat up the witnesses, especially if it's a witness that goes against what they're fighting for in the case, like Izuku, Kirishima, and Shouta soon after. And so what I think the commission was trying to go with, I don't actually know. I don't know why he was going the judge, not the judge, the lawyer, the Hero Commission lawyer. I don't know why he was going the route of like, oh, Izuku's secretly a villain, probably to discredit his. Okay, never mind. I found the route they were going to discredit Izuku's story. And even if like the jury didn't think Izuku was a traitor, hey, in your testimony you never mentioned anything about quirks, and you just said it was a headache. Which one is it, Izuku? Like, you're telling us two different things. Eating up the story in the sense of like, hey, you're withholding the truth, so what else are you withholding? You were lying about this, or not necessarily quote-unquote but lying, but he's gonna call it lying. You're lying about this, so what else are you lying about? Are you a credible, witness? Are you a credible witness? He's trying to discredit him, is what he's trying to do, in the sense of taking apart a story and doing a character build in the sense of like, hey, look, this is someone who is hiding stuff and isn't telling us everything and is lying to us. Can we really trust his testimony? Episode 83 is of public and private. Summary: Shouta's prepared as much as he can. But can one really be prepared for going on the stand and sharing their traumas? No, one cannot. Never. Unfortunately, that's something that you cannot prepare yourself. Like, as much as you mentally prepare yourself and sit down and, talk with therapy and do all that stuff and prepare for this, in the end, you're never prepared enough. Never, unfortunately. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.